What's up and welcome back to the Metalhead Car Show. Last week I had the privilege of doing my first ever car review. It was an absolute blast and I want it to be something that continues on this channel. I do have another car lined up for a video that might be out in May, but today I wanted to go over my top 10 cars I would like to review in the future. Now I've split this up into two groups of 5, one of them being cars that I could probably actually get my hands on that aren't too crazy, and the other one being cars that are going to be obscenely hard to get my hands on that who knows if will ever actually happen. I can probably make a third list for brand new cars, but if this video does well enough, I'll do that video. Starting off with the cars I think are very much doable, and the first car I want to go over is the C8 Corvette Z06. Frankly, I'd be happy with any variation of a C8 Corvette, but I think the Z06 is so impressive. I think it sounds amazing. I think it looks super aggressive, and it's something I really want to take out and kind of see exactly how it is. Old Corvettes used to be made by accountants, new ones are made by engineers, and for the past little while it's shown, especially with the C8. I know there's some sort of Zola or Z01 Corvette coming out in the foreseeable future, so it'll be cool to see exactly what that is. But with this one I'm really curious, because it has that phenomenal 5.5 liter V8, but it's not all-wheel drive or hybrid. It's just a naturally aspirated, smaller but super high-driving V8. And I think these things are absolutely phenomenal, and I'd love to get behind one to see exactly how it is. Next up, the 2007 to 2009 Shelby GT500. Now the 07 cars aren't really known for being the best cars in the world. I'm not knocking them, I do love them. But I've heard the clutches are kind of weak from factory and the brakes aren't really up for what that car is, but I would still love to get into one of these things and test them out, which I really think I need to keep saying. That's the whole point of this video. But the GT500 was one of these really cool cars for me, because back when I was in, grade 7 or 8, the Mustang just went back to its like 69 styled Mustang from like the 05 cars, and for late 2006 we started to see the GT500s come out. So it's like we were seeing this brand new muscle car era come out, because there was also like the Camaro and the Challenger and Charger all out at that time. But the GT500 was kind of like one of the very first big dogs actually out and available to people. So I know they only got better from there, but I'd love to go to the beginning of the modern GT500 and experience that for myself. Next up, in the weirdest car on the list, a Bricklin SV1. For those who don't know, the Bricklin is a Canadian safety sports car. It was made from 1974 to 1976. It used a Chrysler 360 and a Ford 351. It had gull-wing doors. It was made of essentially plastic and fiberglass, and it weighed like 4,000 pounds. It wasn't particularly made to be fast or truly sporty, because it was so heavy, and the automatic transmissions they were given were pretty sluggish. So even with a bit more power and a bit more torque, they'd make power. Like, they weren't a sporty car. So the SV1 actually stands for Safety Vehicle 1. So they were made to be obscenely safe, but also that made them obscenely heavy. But I think they're fascinating. I had the privilege of filming one on my Instagram page, Metalhead Car Show, because pre-YouTube, what I was doing was these beauty shot videos. And like one of the last cars I did before winter came around was a Bricklin SV1. And doing that was so cool, because I did multi-million-dollar Lamborghinis, I did a MC12, I did a Ferrari Daytona, I did a 918 Spider, I did an NSX Type S when they were brand new. But the Bricklin was the one car where people within Ottawa's car community kind of asked, how the hell did you get one of those? And it was special. It was really cool to go do this. So getting behind the wheel of one and kind of experience it that way would be really special for me. Next up, and sort of similar to the first pick, but the Ferrari Italia. I think the Italia was kind of the end of an era. It was the last naturally aspirated, super high revving V8 Ferrari before they went to turbos and more recently hybrid systems. The Italia is also one of these cars where I was at the end of high school when I saw it come out, and it was the new Ferrari, and it was this phenomenal Ferrari. And I don't really know exactly what they're going for. I think it's kind of one of the maybe hardest cars to get on the doable list. but I would love to check one out. I've seen them forever at this point, and I still have this love for them. And its couple predecessors were generally better cars, but I don't know, they just don't sit with me the same way the Italia did. So if it ever happens, I would be super happy. And last up on the doable list, but a RB powered Skyline. So for this one, I want to see if the hype's real. I want to see if everything that's been claimed about them is exactly what they are. Because I think they have this kind of mythical legend status, like the Super and a couple other cars like that, where I start to question whether if it is that good or it's just the fanboys talking. So for kind of different reasons from a lot of other cars, I'd love to try and get into one and really experience it and see how good it actually is, or if it is kind of just the fanboys talking. But also I was part of the era of Need for Speed 1 and the Fast and Furious movies really using the R34s, which I think is just too fast, too furious. And the R34 getting so much love as this absolute monster killer. And I think because of that, I'd love to check one out. And as for the hard list, the cars that are going to be obscenely difficult to get, but if it ever happened, I would love it so much. Starting off with a Vector. Now, for those who don't know, the Vector was a supercar company made from Gerald Wagner in America, and their thing originally was using small block Chevy V8s, things that could take a lot of power, twin turboing them, have them up to like 630 horsepower, and make it so you could just beat on them all day long and have no issues. I'll put the link in the description below, but before I keep going, I want to say if you want to know more about the Vector W8, there is a YouTube channel called Vector W Garage, and they do fully in-depth stuff on the W8, and if you're interested, it's super cool to watch. But anyway, Vector has always been this kind of really cool mythos car for me. For me, it has that same legend status as I mentioned with like the R34. So along with getting in one and driving one, I'd love to just see one in person. Living in Canada, to the best of my knowledge, there is one Vector in Canada. I think it's a black M12 with red seats. I'm pretty sure it's located in Quebec. That's a car, it's a bit of a stretch, and I don't know about that one, but again, I would love it. Next up, the Ferrari F40. I'm not a giant Ferrari person, but I'm not going to say they don't have any cars I love. They absolutely have cars I love so much, and one of them being the Ferrari F40. I don't think I really need to explain the F40. I think everyone knows it. It's the crazy, barely street legal looking hypercar of the 80s. I think of any car I'm about to mention, I think the F40 is the one that I'd probably be the most scared to drive due to their like $3 million at this point. But again, if the opportunity came up, I would absolutely take it in a heartbeat, and I couldn't say no to it. Next up, the Bugatti Veyron. I don't care if this is deemed a cop-out car. This is one of those cars where, again, when I was in high school, it was the pinnacle of supercars. It was the almost untouchable benchmark. And since then, things have changed. Yeah, there's faster cars in the Veyron. But it holds that place in my heart of what it was and what it meant when it first came out. I don't care if it's being beat at this point. For the same reasons of the Skyline or the Vector for me, I would want to check it out for those reasons. Next up, V12 Lamborghinis, but specifically the Countach, the Diablo, or the Murcielago. Not that I don't want to drive a Mira, a Aventador, or a Revelto, but those three cars have just a bit of a special place for me. Those are the three that were just the icon cars. The Murcielago was brand new, and the Murcielago was brand new when I was just getting into cars. So I have a bit more of a special place in my heart for that one. And the SV Murcielago is my favorite car ever made, so it's just gonna sit with me forever. And the Countach is one of these things where every single guy had it on their wall when they were a kid. So I've heard Don't Meet Your Heroes, I've heard they're difficult to drive, but god damn it, I would love to do it. I'll wedge and contort myself into that tiny car, I don't care. If it ever comes up, I'm taking it. Last car on the list, and the car that'll likely never happen, but the Chrysler ME412. So I've talked about it in previous videos, but as kind of a recap for the 5 people who don't know, the ME412 is going to be Chrysler's supercar that they were going to make to take out everybody. It had a Mercedes 6-liter V12, quad turbochargers, and it was said to make something like 750 horsepower and do almost 250 miles per hour. This car was scrapped due to Mercedes, who was working with Chrysler at the time, didn't want a Chrysler to be faster than the pinnacle of Mercedes at the time, which was the SLR McLaren, so the ME412 never happened. But I have it on the list for a few reasons. One, I'm pretty certain it wasn't scrapped. Two, I know there is a running version of it in existence, so it could happen. And three, it, along with the Cadillac Cian, were kind of these concept car legends for a lot of people my age, and we all have kind of cool memories of it being on Forza Motorsports 2. I think I have better luck getting into a Vector than one of those, but you know what? I can always dream. But I want to know, my dream's off to the side. What do you think? What would you like to see me review on this channel? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed the view seen. I post on Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, and I'll see you later.